Welcome to Tuesday, September 26, 2023, your day weather podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily is Wyoming's only statewide newspaper. Get your free digital subscription by hitting the subscribe button on cowboystatedaily.com. Well, folks, as we go through the next several days, as we discussed yesterday, well, the weather is going to be kind of boring, but boring weather is good weather. So while the meteorologist is bored, you all get to enjoy some really nice weather conditions here in the coming days. So we're going to round out September looking really, really pleasant. Temperatures are going to be warm. Sky is going to be sunny to partly sunny. Precipitation chances are going to be low. Now in the Pacific Northwest, we're going to see this big low settle in to the Pacific Northwest and kind of stay there for a couple of days and slide into the Great Basin by the weekend. And it does look like it's going to stall, at least initially. So what's going to happen is that this trough is going to settle in from the Pacific Northwest, go into Utah and Nevada, and just kind of spin on its heels, and then weaken as it moves east. As it moves over the divide, it will weaken, but will drag cooler, unsettled weather late in the weekend and early next week for areas along and east of the divide. So most of the weather with this system is going to be along and west of the divide. October, though, is going to be starting off colder. I think that what we see developing with this low coming off the Pacific Northwest late this week and this weekend is kind of starting a change in the overall weather pattern that looks a lot more active and does look like October will be off to a colder start. So you want to take advantage of the days coming ahead. Now, this satellite photo was taken late yesterday afternoon, and I wanted to get a visible satellite imagery to just show you how impressive this storm is right now off the coast of British Columbia. Look at that swirl. It's just gorgeous, really. And you can see all of the nice, fair, high pressure out into the Intermountain West out ahead of the system. Now, that low is just going to spin around and really not move very much. This is where it's going to be by noon today, just kind of sitting there. Then a broad ridge of high pressure in the nation's midsection. By Thursday morning, the trough does begin to push a little bit more eastward, but it has more of an eastward push than a southward push. So the southwest winds aloft will continue to bring desert air into the region, keeping our temperatures, well, very warm. And the precipitation through Friday morning, this is through Friday morning, is going to stay along the west side of Washington, Oregon, into parts of Northern California there. And then a little bit of shower activity getting east of the divide, but boy, a whole lot of nothing right here for basically the rest of the upcoming work week. And temperature-wise, this is through Sunday. Temperatures, you can see how warm they are in the plains with a gradient of it getting cooler towards the west coast. So really, it's going to be for the next 4 to 5 days, with the exception of the Pacific Northwest and the far western areas of the U.S., temperatures are going to be mild. Now, by Sunday morning, you can see how it does get detached, and it's all the way now sitting over the Sierra Nevada this low. This is by Sunday morning. So the counterclockwise flow around the low will keep warm air through the weekend, as it looks right now, out into the plains east of the divide. However, if you're west of the Continental Divide, you're going to be under the influence of this low with much cooler temperatures and some wet conditions. Then as we get into Monday, notice the low begins to move back to the north and east and kind of gets stretched out, and it weakens considerably. But this area right here of low pressure, by early next week, will get pushed east over the divide. So basically what it's looking like is if you're along and east of the divide, basically front range east, you're going to stay pretty warm probably into the weekend. And then early next week, the trough comes through. And you can see these are temperatures by Monday. Look at all the warmth pushed out across the northern plains, while west of the divide, well, it is downright cool. And then the heavier precipitation, this is the precipitation that falls for Saturday through next Tuesday. So look at Montana, look at Idaho, northern and western areas of Wyoming, but even into the Wasatch of Utah and back into the Sierra Nevada, there's going to be, underneath that low, cool, wet weather. But notice, if you go east of the divide, you're just really not looking at much. This is going to be a divide and points west type of situation. And snow, look at the snow in the Canadian Rockies. Pretty impressive, but snow again, kind of in the same areas that got the snow this past weekend. Now going further out, this is by next Tuesday. High pressure begins to build again in the eastern Pacific, and we've got another upper level low here. See how the blue up here? As you get up in those higher latitudes, the cold air is really beginning to build now. So the writing is on the wall that as we go past this weekend into the first week of October, well, that potential is for colder weather by the following weekend, the weekend of the 7th and the 8th. Take this with a grain of salt. Don't know if it's going to be that cold or not, but we certainly see that October, once we get into the month, is going to start to bring some of that colder and unsettled weather that's really been able to be held off so far. Enjoy the nice weather. We'll see you tomorrow.